Hello friends, welcome back to our channel. In this video, we will discuss the poem The Wasteland by T.S. Eliot. Who is T.S. Eliot? His full name was Thomas Stearns Eliot, was born on September 26, 1888 in St. Louis, Missouri in Midwestern America. So although he was born in America, Eliot moved to Britain at the age of 25 and eventually attained British citizenship in 1927. So he was a famous modern poet, a playwright, and literary critic. And he got his education at Harvard, and graduated in philosophy. Eliot was well versed in the knowledge of French, German, Latin, Greek, and his words reflected a deep knowledge of classics. And Eliot met Ezra Pound in 1914, and a Pound became his literary mentor, who got his poems published and aided him in receiving critical acclaim. And first Eliot's first major poem is the Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, and it was published at Pound's insistence in Poetry, a magazine of verse, after Pound persuaded the magazine editor Harriet Monroe. So this is all about the poet T.S. Eliot. Okay, let's see about some of his words. Some of his words are mentioned here, like Portrait of a Lady, Aunt Helen, The Wasteland, The Journey of the Magi, Four Quartets, Murder in the Cathedral, The Confidential Clouds, and there are some other words too. So here we are looking through the work The Wasteland. So Wasteland was one of the most important poems of the 20th century, and it was published in the year 1922. The Wasteland was published in the year 1922, and it is having 434 lines, and first appeared in UK in the October issue of T.S. Eliot's The Criterion. Okay, so the style of the poem is marked by hundreds of allusions, and the poem is having five sections. These are the five sections: the burial of the dead, a game of chess, fire sermon, death by water, what the thunder said. So these are the five sections, and we will discuss the first two sections in this video, and the remaining will be discussed in the next upcoming videos. So let's move on to the poem. The first section is the burial of the dead. The poem Wasteland begins with a line, or the poem begins by noting that April is the cruelest month. So he's pointing out that how paradoxically life grows out of death. Okay, so this section introduces the diverse themes of despair and disillusionment, and the title, the burial of the dead. The title of this section was taken from the Anglican burial service. Okay, and this section has is made up of four vignettes, and each from the perspective of a different speaker. And the first speaker being an unidentified modern person who drinks coffee and talks about the increment of an hour. And then the same speaker suddenly shifts out of Germany before identifying herself as Mary and going back to her childhood memories. So the second part of this section, first part being the lady who talks about who goes to Germany and who talks about her childhood days, and the second part of this section launches into a description of a very dusty, dry, and desolate land or a world. And here, a girl once known as the Hyacinth Girl speaks of how she is neither living or dead. So, this section describes about the girl. Once she was known as Hyacinth Girl. And the third part is discussed about Madame Sosostris, who reads tarot cards and makes predictions, and that will be fulfilled in the later part of the poem. And finally, the section ends with by mentioning the unreal city, the civilization portrayed in the poem, which has been undone by death. So this is the first section of the poem, the wasteland, that is the burial of the dead. And now we are moving to the second section, that is a game of chess. So the title of this section comes from the Jacobean playwright Thomas Middleton's two words, that is two plays, a game at chess, and Women Beware Women. So the title is taken from these two plays. Okay, and this section concentrates on failure of love or sexuality in the modern world. And it begins with a description of a woman sitting on a beautiful chair that looks like a burnished throne. It is something like a shining throne. Okay, replete with coffered ceilings and lavish decorations. So here we can see the reference to Cleopatra in Antony and Cleopatra. So she sat in a chair that was like a shining throne. Its glow reflected on the marble floor, and a mirror was there. A mirror decorated with a wrought iron vines and a golden Cupid statue reflected and double the frames of the seven branched candelabra. And a painting on the wall in the room tells the story of transformation of uh, Philomel. She was a maiden who was raped and silenced. So it talks about her transformation, who was raped by a brutal king. But as a nightingale, she filled the desert with her unbreakable voice and cried out of the sad song like Jug Jug. So actually, the story was like this: she was a maiden who was raped and silenced, and her rapist, Tyrus, his name is Tyrius, who cut out her tongue. And in the end of the story, both were transformed into nightingales and doomed to sing the sad song, Jug Jug. Okay, Jug Jug. Okay. So, and also other old and worn out stories hung on the wall. Not only hers, and other stories also hung on the walls. And she begins speaking and begging the speaker of the poem to reply. But he or she, the speaker, we don't know the gender of the speaker, so uh, so we are considering the speaker as he or she. Okay, but he or she never replies with words, but through thoughts, silent thoughts. Okay, and her day culminates with plans of an excursion and a game of chess. This was all about the first section of the session, this section, that is a game of chess. And when we are moving throughout this section, we can see a London barroom, uh, like the second part of this section shifts to a London bar room, where two women discuss a third woman. Okay, and between the bartender's repeated calls, they are calling, "Hurry up, please! It's time!" Like it means that the bar is closing for the night. And one of the women recounts a conversation. One of the women just recounts a conversation with her friend Lil, whose husband Albert has just been discharged from army. So Lil is apparently on pills, and she's unhappy in her marriage, and she's childless. So this is about the second section, and what the poem says is, what we can conclude from this section is that uh, it represents, that is, the two women in this section represents the two sides of modern sexuality. Hmm? While one side of this sexuality is dry and barren. In case of in case of first person, sorry, in case of the second lady, the sexuality is dry, barren, and interchange, inseparable from self destruction, and the other side is associated with the lack of culture. Means the early lady Philomel, uh, in case of Philomel, there is a lack of culture and rapid aging. So these are the two sections of the poem, The Wasteland, and we will discuss the remaining three sections in the upcoming video. Okay, thank you. Thanks for watching the video. Have a nice day.